We're on item 9B, Corrections Facility Jail Shower Wall Modification. I see staff is moving towards the podium. And Mr. Sheriff.
Good morning, Tom Bensley, Grand Traverse County Sheriff. The current Grand Traverse County Jail, just a little update, was built in 1964. That's 55 years ago. We're dealing with a portion of that 1964 construction. It was remodeled in 1984, 35 years ago, and it was designed and built as a jail. It serves very well as a jail. It was not designed and built as a self-harm suicide prevention facility. However, upgrades over the past several years have been done to enhance the safety and security. We can't anticipate what inmates will do to cause self-harm. What we can do is make building modifications and changes when we see an issue that has or could be a safety or security problem. This minor remodel will provide more visibility of inmates in the cells that are affected. So we're asking for your approval to move forward with changing the shower and toilet security walls in or privacy walls in 10 of the cells in the original part of the jail, which was constructed and then remodeled, constructed in 64, remodeled in 84. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Willock.
Tom, the other cells in the jail do not have this issue, or do we have other areas in those restroom facilities, if you will, that are still not visible? I know that that's been a significant problem over the last number of years with the fact that we could not observe people, and we know there's privacy rules and all of those kind of things, but we've had couple pretty nasty things happen in those showers beyond the ability for officers to see.
Yes.
Are the rest of the jails okay? Are the rest of the cells okay, or do we need to address something in those also?
Number one, I'll let Captain Ritter address those other cells, but as far as the safety and security versus privacy, we asked Mr. Tholen to look into that, and the bottom line was that there is a balance there, but it tips a little bit more toward the safety side than the privacy side. I think that was the crux of your memo.
Yes, I had the opportunity to go over to the jail and look at what they're planning to do. And then I spent a significant amount of time just researching case law and statutes and regulations related to privacy within jails. And I really don't have any concerns with what they're planning to do, given the minimal modifications and the good reasons for doing so.
Okay.
So to address your question, Commissioner, there are still two areas that I will be asking to address. As you all saw on your tour, the ones we're addressing now are the large steel privacy barriers that we have in the 6-man cells. If an inmate wants to, usually if an inmate wants to hurt themselves or conduct some kind of nefarious activities, they go behind those privacy screens because they know we can't see them. This modification is going to reduce the size of that wall, put it directly in front of the shower stall and a stubby wall in front of the commode, giving officers a greater view into that area, make it much more difficult for somebody to hide. There are 2 additional cells with that. When we find an appropriate modification, we'll be making that recommendation on. The one that we've already addressed was the change-out area a couple years ago. We modified that shower area and changed that to upgrade it and bring it a little more up to date. These 10 cells are the primary concern right now. It's where we've had the majority of our problem activity. That's why we're asking for these cells first.
Thank you.
On the drawings that Hallmark provided, and then somebody drew them up, there's actually 11 cells that are being retroed, not 10.
There should only be 10.
Okay, their
Yeah.
drawings, everything refers to 11.
Yeah,
Eight of one type, 2 of one, and 1 of another, so.
there are only 10 that actually meet that specification, that
Okay.
have that barrier we're removing.
Right.
Mr. Hundley?
So this was certainly identified to us as an issue, and so I appreciate, the work that you guys have done on it. Really, my only question is about the fact that there was only one respondent to the request. And, just as the folks that sit behind and making sure that it's, the money is being wisely spent and all of that. So if you can just talk to us about Hallmark and that process.
I can speak to you about Hallmark. I'd have to refer to Mr. Berry about the process. I know it did go out for bid.
Sure.
Hallmark has been in the jail several times over the past 10, 12 years now doing modifications. The jail is kind of a difficult environment for contractors to come in and conduct work. So some of them, I think, are shy about going through that vetting process. Some of them are kind of shy about the difficulty it is to get in and out and conduct that work. Hallmark, having done it several times, are kind of familiar with our processes, and they're not shy about going through those processes. So I think that may have contributed to that they're familiar with it. But I can't really speak to why somebody else hasn't bid it. It did go out for bids.
And to the other folks on the board who have more construction experience than I mean, as far as the cost that we're looking at, it seems in line with things. Okay.
I think it's reasonable.
Okay.
I mean, for the scope of the work, yeah, it's more than reasonable in my eyes,
Okay,
yeah.
great, thanks.
Yeah, I can speak to the complicated part of the vetting and the getting in and out of doing work in the jail. I've had opportunity to do it a few times. The idea of you have to inventory every screw, every wrench, everything you have, every time you go in, every time you come out. The guys have to empty their pockets out to make sure they don't have a pocket knife in their pocket or any of those kind of things. It becomes very complicated and time intensive of non-productive time that the contractor also spends, just simply the security requirements getting in and getting out.
Sure.
I think this is a good proposal. I think the numbers are very good, considering the scope of what we're asking them to do.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Klaus?
I would just suggest talking to Hallmark, because they do have 11 units that they're,
Yeah, I'll get with Mr.
Voting.
Berry on that, and we'll take a
so
look
they
at it.
may reduce their number a bit.
Yep.
All right. No further questions? Do we have a
Mr.
motion?
Chairman, I would move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the Board Chair and County Administrator to effectuate the necessary documents to implement the contract with Hallmark Construction in the amount of $15,875 as defined in the scope of work.
Okay, moved by Wheelock,
Support?
supported by Jewett. Any further discussion? Commissioner Klaus?
With the modification that you'll be talking to Hallmark regarding the
Yeah,
11 units that they have listed, and you're only.
Yeah,
referring
I'll have to
10.
look. My quote has 10, so, and it had the same price, so I'll have to see what you're looking at. Obviously, if that price was based on 11, that would go down.
the
You're allowed to pay
paperwork
them
says
less.
10, but the drawings show 11.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.